My mother-in-law volunteered to watch our baby, so I could rest. I woke up and found she'd taken him to her church, had him baptized, and posted about saving him from sin. My husband said, "It's not worth a fight." So I went to a lawyer instead. I had just hit the 6-week postpartum mark, and I was barely holding on. I live in Garland, Texas. It's hot and flat and the kind of suburb where everyone knows your business, especially if you're part of a church crowd, which I'm not. My husband Aaron's family is, though, big into the local evangelical scene. His mom, Diane, practically lives at that church. She's got the Christian mom Facebook aesthetic down to a science. Everything's God's timing and faith before feelings. And she's always made it clear that I'm not enough for her son. Or now, her grandson. 6 weeks postpartum. I was bleeding through pads every few hours. I couldn't sit comfortably. Breastfeeding was a nightmare. Caleb had colic and wouldn't sleep for more than an hour without screaming. I hadn't left the house in days. I was so tired I couldn't form full sentences. Aaron had just gone back to work, and I was spiraling. Diane texted early one Sunday, bringing a casserole. "Want me to watch baby while you nap?" I didn't respond right away, but she showed up anyway. She came in like she owned the place, gave me the casserole and said, "You need sleep, sweetie. Let me hold him. Go lay down for just a bit." I resisted. Told her I wasn't comfortable. Aaron stepped in. "She just wants to help, babe. You need a break." So I let go. I hated it, but I did. I went upstairs and crashed. The kind of sleep where your body finally gives out. I thought I'd wake up in an hour, hear Caleb crying, go down and feed him. But when I woke up, it was silent. I checked the monitor. Empty bassinet. I called Diane. No answer. I called Aaron. She took him to church, he said like it was no big deal. "He'll be back soon." My stomach dropped. I felt like I'd been sucker punched. I didn't even put on makeup. I didn't care what I looked like. I drove like a maniac to the church. It's one of those mega churches, with stadium seating and a coffee bar. I walked in right as they were finishing the morning baptism. There was Diane standing at the front, holding Caleb in this white blanket. Water on his forehead. The pastor smiling like they'd just done something holy. People clapping. I lost it. I walked straight down the aisle and screamed at her to give me my son. The whole room went quiet. Diane said, "He's been saved. You should be grateful." I grabbed him out of her arms and walked out. He was crying. I was crying. Back home, I expected Aaron to be furious with her. Instead, he acted like I was the problem. "It's not like it hurts him," he said. "It's symbolic. It doesn't mean anything unless you believe it." But that's just it, I don't. And it does mean something. She violated my trust. She stole a moment that should have been ours to make, if and when we chose. And then she had the audacity to post about it. A picture of Caleb in her arms in front of the church sign. The caption read, "So grateful to welcome my grandson into God's family today. Sometimes you have to save them from sin when their parents won't." #blessed, #baptized, #faith first. She didn't tag me. Didn't mention me. Made it sound like Caleb was hers. Like we were just obstacles. Aaron said not to start drama. Said his mom meant well. That's when I knew I was alone in this. The next morning, I called a family lawyer. I didn't know exactly what I was asking for. Maybe legal boundaries, maybe a cease and desist, maybe documentation that she wasn't allowed to make any religious decisions about our son. The lawyer didn't laugh. She didn't act like I was crazy. She said this happens more than people think. She told me I had options. That if it escalated, I could pursue a formal boundary through the court. And that was the first time since giving birth that I felt like I had any control. Aaron didn't know I talked to a lawyer. Not yet. But that was just the beginning. Because what Diane did next made everything worse. A week passed. I didn't let Diane near the house. I told Aaron I needed space from her. I told him that what she did wasn't just a mistake. It was a line crossed. He said he understood, but he didn't act like it. He still called her every night, still laughed at her stories, still defended her. She was trying to help. he kept saying. You're overreacting. I wasn't. I started sleeping with the baby monitor volume turned all the way up, even though Caleb was in a bassinet right beside me. I had dreams about Diane coming into the house, taking him again. I changed the locks. Aaron said that was too much. Then, a few days later, I got a message from one of Diane's friends. Some woman I barely knew, messaging me on Facebook like we were close. I'm praying for you. I know it's hard being a new mom. Diane told us what you're going through. If you ever want to talk about finding your faith again, I'm here. I sat there, staring at my phone, shaking. Diane had told people. Strangers. She was painting me as broken, faithless, unstable. I confronted her over text. Her response? I'm doing what's best for Caleb. You're emotionally overwhelmed. God will open your heart eventually. Until then, I'll keep covering him in prayer. He needs spiritual protection. I showed Aaron. He didn't say a word, just sat there staring at the floor. So I stopped talking to him too. I started sleeping in the guest room with Caleb. I moved all of his things in there. Aaron didn't even try to stop me. 3 days later, I found out Diane had called our pediatrician. She used Aaron's last name and pretended to be me. She asked about Caleb's next appointments. She wanted his medical records sent over. The office caught it. They flagged the file and called me directly. That's when I called the lawyer again. I told her everything. She got quiet and said, "You need to document this. All of it." So I started a file. I screenshotted Diane's post. The text where she said I was unstable. The call log from the pediatrician's office. I even logged dates when Aaron dismissed me or minimized it all. The lawyer said I had every right to issue a formal no-contact order if it escalated. And if it kept going, it could influence custody or guardianship decisions in the future. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about a baptism anymore. Diane wanted control, and Aaron was letting her have it. A few nights later, Aaron finally snapped. Said he was tired of the tension. Said I was driving a wedge between him and his mother. Said I was acting paranoid. So I asked him, if she took Caleb out of the house again, without telling me, what would you do? He didn't answer. That silence told me everything I needed to know. I knew then that if I didn't do something, she would try again. Maybe not now, maybe not in a week, but eventually. Because Diane doesn't see me as Caleb's mother. She sees me as a temporary barrier between her and the life she thinks she deserves through him. And Aaron? He's too scared of her to stop her. So I made a decision. I wasn't just going to protect my son. I was going to take everything Diane thought she controlled and burn it down. The day after Aaron's silence, I took Caleb and left. I didn't tell Aaron where I was going. I packed the diaper bag, enough clothes for a few days, and drove to my sister's house in Denton. She's never liked Diane, and for good reason. She let me in, no questions asked, just hugged me while I sobbed into her shirt. I called my lawyer that night and said, I want to start the paperwork. I want full custody. I don't trust either of them. We started drafting a formal parenting plan. I wasn't filing for divorce yet, but I needed to establish custody and boundaries. My lawyer said without a court order, Aaron could technically let Diane take Caleb anytime he wanted. That lit a fire under me. A few days later, Diane crossed the line again. She posted a photo of Caleb on Facebook. A close-up of his face captioned, "My angel baby. I can't wait until you're back in my arms. God has a plan." I lost it. I hadn't given her any photos. Aaron hadn't seen Caleb since I left, which meant she had taken screenshots from Aaron's phone, from our shared photo album, without permission. That night, I confronted Aaron by phone. I asked him point-blank if he'd been sharing pictures or updates. He admitted it, said he felt torn. So I sent him a copy of the petition my lawyer drafted, requesting temporary full custody and a restraining order against Diane for unauthorized access to medical records and emotional harassment. That's when Aaron turned. He called me screaming, accused me of tearing the family apart, said I was weaponizing the courts. But what he didn't know, what he couldn't have seen coming, was what Diane had done behind his back. 2 days later, my lawyer called me sounding breathless. "Are you sitting down?" She'd gotten a hold of a document. An official notarized form Diane had filed, without either of our consent, petitioning for emergency temporary guardianship of Caleb. She'd gone to a family court, said I was emotionally unstable, and claimed Aaron supported her decision. Aaron didn't even know she'd done it. She lied to the court, used her connections at the church to get a sympathetic witness to co-sign, and tried to take my child. It didn't work. My lawyer moved fast and blocked it, but the paperwork was real. Diane had tried to take legal custody of my baby while Aaron and I were still married. When I confronted Aaron with the documents, he broke down crying. Finally realized how far she'd gone, how serious it was. But it was too late. I couldn't trust either of them anymore. I gave my lawyer the green light. Now it was war. Aaron showed up at my sister's house the next day. I didn't let him in. I met him in the driveway while Caleb napped inside. He looked like hell. Pale, unshaven, exhausted. "I didn't know," he said. "I swear to God, I didn't know she filed anything." I believed him. But it didn't matter anymore. I handed him a copy of the full custody request and the restraining order filing. "You didn't stop her when she baptized him. You didn't stop her when she called his doctor. You didn't stop her when she used our baby to prove something to her church friends. You let her in this far." He didn't argue. "I just didn't want to pick sides," he finally said. "You did," I said. "Every time you stayed quiet, you picked hers." The next week was a blur of court dates, legal filings, and custody evaluations. Diane lawyered up too. Tried to file her own petition for grandparent visitation rights. Claimed she had a close bond with Caleb. Claimed I was trying to isolate the family. Even included printouts of text messages from Aaron where he called me paranoid and overreacting. My lawyer shut it down fast. Caleb was an infant. There was no bond. Just manipulation. But it still dragged us into court again. And again. Meanwhile, Diane kept posting. More photos, more prayer requests, more subtle jabs. God sees what's hidden behind the tears and lawyers. He fights for his children, especially the littlest ones. She even started showing up at public places she knew I'd be, my old grocery store, the pediatrician's office parking lot. Once, she parked across the street from my sister's house and just sat in her car. We reported it. Got the restraining order tightened. Aaron began visiting Caleb under supervised conditions. My lawyer insisted on it. He looked more and more hollow every time. Kept asking if there was a way to fix it. If I'd ever come home. I told him, not unless he faced what he'd let happen. That was when he made a mistake. He asked me to drop the court stuff for the sake of keeping peace. He still didn't get it. Still thought this was about peace when what I needed was safety, autonomy, and respect. For me and for Caleb. So I made a new plan. I wasn't just going to fight back in court. I was going to expose Diane for who she really was, in front of her church, her community, and even Aaron. And when I did, they'd never see her the same way again. Diane built her identity around that church. She was a youth mentor, ran women's groups, led prayer circles. Everyone there saw her as some holy matriarch, a woman of strong faith and family values. She wore that mask well. But I'd been documenting everything. Every post, every text, every attempt to undermine me. And not just from Diane, Aaron too. Every time he downplayed her behavior. Every message where he sided with her. Every time he called me emotional or unstable. My lawyer and I took it all and filed a full custody suit, official, permanent, with evidence stacked like bricks. But the real blow didn't land in court. It landed in the church. Because I sent a packet to the senior pastor. Printed screenshots, notarized court filings, the full guardianship attempt. And then I sent a copy to every member of the church council. I didn't send it anonymously. I signed my name. Let them see. Let them see the woman they'd praised, prayed with, donated money to, lying to a judge to steal custody of her grandchild, impersonating me to doctors, stalking our home, baptizing a baby behind a mother's back. 2 days later, Diane was removed from all church leadership. Her posts started disappearing. Comments dried up. 1 week after that, she was asked to take a break from church activities altogether. Aaron tried to stay neutral, but now people were asking him questions. People he'd grown up with. Friends who started to see Diane for what she really was. His silence didn't protect her anymore. It just exposed him too. Then the custody hearing came. Aaron had nothing to stand on. My documentation was airtight. Diane's petition for grandparent rights was laughed out of court. The judge awarded me full legal custody with limited supervised visitation for Aaron. Diane was barred entirely. No contact. No involvement in medical decisions. No visits. Nothing. Afterward, Aaron asked if we could try again. I told him no, because trying again meant pretending none of this happened. Pretending that when I was bleeding and broken and scared, he hadn't told me to keep the peace. That when I needed him most, he handed our child over to someone who didn't see me as a mother at all. I moved out of Garland. Found a small rental in Plano. New locks. New routines. New peace. It took a while to breathe again. To feel like Caleb was truly mine. But the last time I saw Diane was in the courthouse parking lot. She tried to come up to me, to speak. I didn't stop. I didn't even look at her. I just walked past, holding my son, while she stood there alone. Exiled from her church, her family fractured, her reputation in ashes. That was the revenge. Not just winning in court. Not just keeping Caleb safe. It was making sure Diane could never again pretend she was anything but what she really was. And Aaron? He lost his wife, his son, and the illusion that silence keeps peace. Some betrayals don't deserve forgiveness. Some fires, once lit, need to burn straight through. And I let them.